Hello, I'm Chris Isserman, and welcome to this Bloomberg podcast. I'm joined by special guests from the world of Bloomberg to share real stories from this global leader in business and financial information. Now, on the show today, I've got two very special guests, and we're going to be talking about philanthropy and the culture of giving back. So on the show today, I'm joined by, from the corporate philanthropy team, Emily Barbey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. And we've also got Jacob Smith, software engineer at Bloomberg. Welcome to you as well.
Thank you for having me as well.
Our first question on the podcast is always the same. Why did you say yes to Bloomberg? Jacob, do you want to start?
Yeah, I think this is actually quite easy for me. I'm a Londoner. I was born and raised here, and I was excited to work at a company that had such a diverse range of teams and opportunities. And as a sort of new graduate, you kind of don't want to feel pigeonholed really early and automatically into your career. So I quite liked that there was lots of opportunity to join different kinds of teams. And obviously I've joined the finance team now, and I'm having a great time learning lots. And on top of that, there's quite a lot of opportunity for that kind of soft skill growth around. So there's so many communities that I'm sure we'll get to, where you can try your hat at event organizing or leadership. And those are things that I really love to do.
I joined Bloomberg it was like a bit of a happy accident, honestly. So for background, I studied hotel restaurant management at the University of Delaware, so in the States. And I had seen flyers on campus for a business dining etiquette dinner. So of course I went because free dinner in college means a lot.
Yeah.
So I go to this dinner, I'm seated at this round table, and it's predominantly finance majors there because Bloomberg is recruiting for finance and tech roles. So I'm super out of place, kind of planning my quick exit, when all of a sudden the host of the event starts walking around and putting piles of silverware in front of everyone. And they say, please set a table setting. Hospitality major. I set the table real quick, fork here, little spoon there. And I look up and, everyone around the table is kind of looking a bit confused, but the recruiter and I lock eyes. She's like, what's your background? Why did you know how to set this table? Long story short, she said, well, you're not a great fit for anything we're hiring for today. You should join our customer service team. So she ended up sending me a link to apply. And I think within the week I was offered an internship. So kind of similar to Jacob, what I really loved was how she didn't at all pigeonhole me based on not being in a finance or tech kind of area, but she valued the skill set. So that was kind of how I made my way into the company. And I've been here ever since, 8 years.
Brilliant. And fill me in on the career so far, where you've been and what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I started in customer service, which is basically our frontline support. It's an incredible department, especially for new joiners, because you really learn all about Bloomberg, our products, our clients, the departments. So I spent a year there. Then I was executive assistant for our chief operating officer, which was an incredible role because I got to work across all of the pillars of operations at the company. From there, I moved to our hospitality team, where I looked after the team for the Americas. So that was our pantry and all of the wonderful snacks, catering, special events, guest experience. Most recently in New York, I had looked after our employee operations team, which is our kind of global strategy for the service desk. And then about 2 years ago, I was offered the opportunity to move to London if I wanted to join corporate philanthropy, which has always been a dream of mine. So I said yes, and here I am.
And for you, Jacob, what about for you? Your journey so far?
Yeah, it's awesome to hear other people's stories as well. I actually came as a new joiner, as a new grad, and I studied electronic engineering in university. So a bit of a difference. My degree was about 4 years long, and I think it was about 6 weeks in when we started doing particular labs, kind of realized that the more hardware side wasn't really for me. I've really found a lot more happiness and less frustration in debugging code that's gone wrong. So that was my starting point of, okay, how am I going to work in software in the future? So once it was time to graduate, I ended up working somewhere else for a year, and then there was open position at Bloomberg, and I thought, okay, I'll give this a try as a more pure software role, big systems, all that sort of stuff. And so I've been here since, and it's been great.
Fantastic. And you are part of Gen Z, and I think this generation has a particular focus on doing good. Is that something you would agree with?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think with such a connected world, you get to see so much of what's happening, and I think it can be quite easy to be disheartened by that. And I think one of the ways that myself and the people around me feel kind of better in our day-to-day lives is to contribute in any ways that we can. So whether that's volunteering, whether that's supporting your family and friends around you, I think that does become quite crucial for us.
That genuine care for the people around you has come to the forefront of the attention for this generation. Yeah. Do you agree, Emily?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nowadays with live streaming, TikTok, Instagram, I think the crises and challenges of the world are they're impossible to ignore. And Gen Z as well. I'm a millennial, but I'll lump myself in there. We like to travel. So we're traveling, we're meeting with people. So when we hear about these things going on in the world, I think they just mean that much more to us and we empathize with them. So because of that, we really want to make sure that regardless of if our role can have the direct impact, our company does do good. And our data here actually does suggest that doing good is really critical to the culture and values of our company.
Could you tell me a bit more about what Bloomberg is doing in that area of doing good?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Bloomberg, we have an internal team, Corporate Philanthropy, which I sit on. And our corporate philanthropy team actually organizes, as Jacob is well aware, a multitude of volunteer opportunities because we really want to make sure that we're engaging our employees and our clients and that we're helping them feel close to the causes that they really care about to drive that impact.
Jacob, how have you got involved in these kind of initiatives?
It's really interesting. I think with everything here, it kind of becomes you see it, you want to do it, you get to do it. So I would say that I'm fortunate, but I think most other people are in this position as well, where I've got a team that's very supportive of, do your day job and work through that, but also contribute in any ways that you can. And Bloomberg does make this quite easy. New opportunities are presented to go out and contribute for Bob events. So I've done several by this point that have been very exciting. So very recently I got to be a judge for like I call it a robot Olympics competition, which was fantastic. So it was working with secondary school aged kids, and they'd spent months effectively putting together robots to compete against each other in this competition. And watching all of their kind of hard work put together, it was amazing to do. And in my humble role as a judge there, I got to go around and talk to some of the teams and kind of really delve into what it is they did, how they felt about it, and then ultimately actually give out some prizes at the end, which was really good. The grand finals was also incredibly had a fantastic climax as well. So the underdogs came back. It was a really, really good event.
Fantastic. And your involvement in that, what was that like for you?
It was a lot. It was a very long event, but because I got to meet a lot of new people, whether that was my kind of co-volunteers there, but also the kids that were working on their projects and their families as well that were there to support them. That was quite refreshing there. But also it was another way to kind of apply some of the technical skills I had. I did specifically want to do this one because it was robots. Robots are cool. I don't know what engineer you could talk to that wouldn't tell you that. So that was a really fun application of the skills that I've already got. So yeah, it's good.
And if I could just jump in there as well, I think that's one of the brilliant things about our volunteering scheme here is it's not just, standard volunteering that we put out there for employees to select. We actually look across the company and we blend skill sets, different business units and departments and bring those individuals together because then you're able to drive that much more of an impact through the skills-based volunteering. So that's great to hear that you've enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was amazing. And, I'll highlight another one that wasn't quite so technical. I got to work with the Felix project, and they kind of work to reduce food wastage throughout England, I think, but mainly in London. And coincidentally, the Bob event that I attended was in Southeast London, where I currently live and grew up. And so what's quite funny is that the food that we were sort of distributing around to go to different places ended up going to a different charity that I volunteered with months later with my mum, and on the little label it said the Felix Project for some of the food delivered there. So it's like packaged to door all by me, which was really fun. A really fulfilling way to spend time.
And we've heard about Bob events. Emily, maybe you could tell me a little bit more about what those are and how they're unique to Bloomberg.
Sure. So Bob is best of Bloomberg. So we bring together the best of Bloomberg to drive impact in our communities. And yeah, as far as Bob events and activities are concerned, it's the volunteering events that we put on with our partners for our employees or clients. Employees do also have the opportunity to volunteer externally. So should, for example, Jacob have a charity that's near where he lives that he wants to be involved with, he's welcome to volunteer there. We also have a program at Bloomberg called Dollars for Your Hours, where employees are able to volunteer a certain number of hours a year, up to 50, which is then turned into $5,000 that they could donate to a charity of their choice. So that's a little bit of incentive, give back to give back further. So for example, you could volunteer externally or internally. So should Jacob want to volunteer with the charity in his neighborhood, he could volunteer, rack up those hours, and then convert those to dollars that could then be donated to a charity he cares about. Internally, again, we put on a number of volunteer events with our partners across the globe that employees are able to partner with, partake in, and then get those hours that they can then donate back to causes they care about.
Yeah, we give away money and we give away time. It's
exactly.
Great.
Yeah, fantastic. So there's a lot going in,
yeah,
time
absolutely.
and money, and Bloomberg are empowering and enabling this as an organization.
Yep. And we do allow employees as well to, like I mentioned, obviously volunteer externally, but also look to different organizations that they might wish to add to our giving list so that we could then match donations, because we really want to ensure that employees are able to work with charities and causes that they care about as well to feel that level of engagement.
Yeah. And of course, you can do good in your spare time on your Saturday, but that must have felt quite connected to what you do in your day-to-day as well.
Yeah, completely. It kind of pulls it all together, really, because you'll know about soft skills. You'll know the sort of skills that you need on a day-to-day as a software engineer to solve problems, and you do get to pull that together and be a more technical lead somewhere else, and really in this case, be also kind of a role model, which was really fun, especially for the younger kids. I would have loved to have done an event like that when I was younger, building robots.
Yeah, so you're giving back in a way that you would have loved someone to give to you when you were at that age.
Exactly.
Tell us a few memorable moments that you've had. You've shared some, Jacob. Maybe for you, Emily.
Yeah.
What are some of those memorable moments where you've got stuck in?
Definitely. Probably my favorite volunteering right now is with Age UK. So Age UK has a friendship telephone service. So basically they pair volunteers with, I believe, an older friend is what they call it, just an over 60-year-old, and you commit to making a weekly phone call with them. So that's something that I've found works really well with my schedule, just being able to carve out 30 minutes to an hour a week and making a phone call to my friend. And pretty much we stay in touch. We talk about movie recommendations, our favorite cheese at the farmer's market, and the goal of it is to help combat loneliness in the elderly community. So I think it's just a really beautiful way to give back in such a kind of casual and lasting way.
Yeah, it's a really good thing. And Jacob, you mentioned a couple of those. Is there anything you're looking to get involved in next?
Oh, what's next for me? So there is diversity role models that's working with Bob, and I think I'm in the process of getting started with them. So I think that's going to be a particularly interesting event. Quite emotional, probably. I'll give a brief explanation.
Yeah.
What you do is, as a LGBTQ plus person, you kind of go into schools with kids maybe between 6 and 16 and sort of tell a story of yours for about 5 minutes, somewhat related to that, and kind of give them the opportunity to ask questions. And when we were doing the introduction for that event, I thought it would be really interesting to hear from them. So, what impact does this actually have? And they kind of said they've got some hard numbers to say that it reduces instances of bullying, for example, which is just crucial. It's really important.
Fantastic. I want to ask, how have your skills grown from getting involved in this kind of work? Does it help you in what you do? Have you picked up things along the way?
Yeah, so much. Particularly networking and kind of being able to talk to a really diverse range of people, whether that means I'm doing a Bob event in the building and I'm meeting people from Philanthropy or from data, speaking to different people that aren't just the engineers I'm surrounded with every day. That's a skill in itself. But also the kind of diverse people that we help or work with on the events, which is just fantastic. I really do feel that getting quite a bit stronger. It also definitely requires a level of organization for yourself to be able to manage the work that you're doing, to manage the volunteering that you're doing, and actually do a good job on both, because you're not really going there to be half-hearted in your efforts. You want to kind of be able to put your best self forward. So.
And you must see a lot of people going off to do all sorts of different
Yeah.
opportunities in the role you do.
Yeah,
Do you
definitely.
see them coming back with things that they then are using in their day-to-day role?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think even specifically like the soft skills are critical, because so many people, myself included, love the mentoring, the Age UK. So thinking about like patience, empathy, communication, those are constantly, you have the ability to build on those. And then, as Jacob mentioned, networking is huge. I mean, I wouldn't be in this role or in this chair today if I hadn't been doing those volunteer events and putting myself out there. So I think it's really critical to building your network at Bloomberg.
And who are the most interesting or impactful people you've met doing these kind of initiatives with Bloomberg?
There's a lot to choose from there. Specifically through Bob, I did, with my work for the food distribution charity. I met someone in our ESG team, and ever since then, because one of the first questions you ask, oh, what team are you in? What do you do? Which then brought up the question, oh, what's ESG? And so from there, kind of put me down the rabbit hole of doing some more research over that, which is really important. It kind of backs up the domain of the work that I'm in, but also, environment, social governance. That's important for anyone to really want to learn about. So that's been quite impactful for me.
Yeah. When I was in New York, I volunteered with Fortune Fellows, which is a charity that helps reintroduce and reintegrate justice-involved individuals into the workplace. So through that volunteering, I actually was invited to one of their kind of gala dinners as a fundraiser. So the number of incredible people I met there, from, Danny Myers to the CEO of the charity, was just incredible. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, volunteering here, you learn so much about different roles or groups that you didn't even know existed. Like, I've met Bloomberg pilots, I've met, people that work in the culinary area, just all across the board. Really interesting.
So really growing your skills, really growing your network.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a load of good,
Yep.
benefiting people in a way you would have loved for them to benefit you when you were at that stage or age, or when you get there for the more elderly that we're helping. It seems like there's a lot that you can do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of care for what you might want to get involved in, or a charity you might want to support as well. It's personalized in that way.
Yeah. It's a two-way street. The corporate philanthropy team in Bloomberg does our best to have a wide suite of partners and opportunities across all of the different areas we care about. But we do also listen to our employees to understand what are the causes or the areas that they care about to really balance it out.
All right, it's time for our quick fire round. Okay, so I want short, snappy answers from both of you. Firstly, how many hours do Bloomberg employees volunteer in a year?
I think I'm going to go with about 250,000.
Okay, Emily?
Around 300,000, I think.
Okay, I can tell you that of the in 2023, over 183,000 hours invested. So you weren't far off,
Yeah,
Jacob,
not too bad.
there with 250. Next question. How much money do Bloomberg employees donate to the causes that are important to them?
Over
every
13
year?
million for sure.
Over 13 million?
I'm going to go quite ambitious here and double that and say 26 million.
26 million is actually $13.6 million donated in 2023 to the causes that matter to Bloomberg people.
So,
Wow.
And finally, in our lightning round, last question. How many mentoring interactions has Bloomberg been involved in over the past year?
Bloomberg employees love mentoring, so I would probably guess close to 45,000 maybe.
Okay, so I would have gone a little less ambitious there. I would have said about 10,000 hours.
I can tell you that there have been over 50,000 mentoring actions.
Incredible.
Pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to move through the lightning round. Well done to both of you. Very short, snappy answers. Good quiz.
Great job.
Now we're going to focus a bit more on your work, your day-to-day, what you do in this area of giving back. So what's unique about the Bloomberg approach to philanthropy, Emily?
Yeah, well, giving back is really at the heart of Bloomberg's culture. And we have a unique structure in that we have Bloomberg LP, the firm, which then directs majority of its profits to support the work of Bloomberg Philanthropy, the foundation. So we're really able to drive our global impact across all of the pressing areas that we care about most and having an impact on the community. We also do skills-based volunteering, which I think is a unique take on it as well. So we look at our employees across all of the different departments and business units and regions and thinking about the skills that they have and how can we blend that with the needs of the community.
And firsthand, I can say it's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. When my team had a trip out to New York, we got to do one that is more of a hobbyist enjoyment for me, which was, think of it as supermarket shelf stacking, but for an arts warehouse in New York. That was really, really cool. It was kind of rows and rows of materials that artists could use to create their art and tell whatever stories they want to do. And so I got to spend a couple hours there with my team, with other team members from New York together, organizing it really. So we warehouse shelf stackers. Yeah.
And what about on an individual level? You've got busy jobs to do. You've got work to do.
We do.
Yeah, significant role impacting Bloomberg. How do you manage doing good with doing a good job?
For me, it was really exploring all of the options and then seeing what I could fit best in my schedule. So doing the one-off, couple of hour long volunteering events doesn't really work great with my schedule. I have a lot of meetings and things come up all the time. So for me, one of the kind of longer lasting volunteer programs where you're carving out 30 minutes or an hour, same day every week, works for me because it's baked into my schedule. But then I also love being able to form the relationship with whomever I'm working with or volunteering with and seeing how it can change and grow over time.
And my approach is actually quite the opposite to that. So what I tend to do is when I have a week where I'm like, I've got a couple of hours here, I've got a few hours there, I'll see what's available and what can fit in there, or maybe I can move things around to accommodate that. And what that really takes is a lot of communication with my higher ups to say what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, all that sort of stuff, which is always met with support, which has been very good. So that's my way of doing it.
And what does that support look like when you have something you want to do? What does it look like for you?
I think really specifically for me, it looks like including it in like our sprint planning to have that kind of, that high level awareness of, okay, the whole team knows where I'm going to be for this couple of hours. It also looks like when I send a picture of the outputs from the Bob event in our group chats that I get lots of reactions. So that's always quite nice.
Nice, that's encouraging. There's a little feedback loop of what you've been up to with your colleagues.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, both of you, for joining me on the podcast. It's been a pleasure to chat to you both. Emily, Jacob, thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
If you like this episode, do give it a like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. There's more information in the episode description below. And check out the rest of the series for more fantastic guests from Bloomberg. On behalf of me, Chris Isserman, and my guests today, Jacob, Emily, thank you very much. See you next time.